I lost 30 pounds of fat in just 100 days, going from this to this without doing any cardio or whilst battling with a disability where my bone died. It left me with a permanent deformity from a young age, which I need a hip replacement for. And this is the exact step-by-step process that I used so you can too. 1. I set a specific goal. Everyone wants to lose fat and drop weight, but the problem with this is it's incredibly broad and it's easy to get lost within your journey. So I identified exactly how much weight I needed to lose altogether, how much weight I needed to lose week by week, and then I set myself a deadline of when I needed to achieve it with smaller deadlines throughout the process. This gave me clarity and a clear direction. It kept me focused and on track, and it removed a lot of the emotion out of the process, which is the biggest killer in anyone's fat loss journey. 2. I worked out my caloric intake. Once I had a goal weight established and a time frame where I needed to achieve it by, I needed to create a deficit. Pulling food is always where I start because it's much more time efficient to simply just eat less than it is to move more. I personally began with a 700 calorie deficit, and I recommend anyone to start from somewhere between 500 and 1000, but this is going to be heavily dependent on your experience level, how much body fat you've got to lose, and your tolerance to actually be able to stick to a deficit. A key tip here is to start higher with your calories. That way you'll give yourself more wiggle room as you move throughout the process before something called metabolic adaptation occurs, which is essentially just where your body becomes used to functioning on a certain amount of calories and certain amount of exercise. And once this happens, pulling a food or increasing output in some way, shape or form needs to occur to get the needle moving within your fat loss journey again. 3. I established my macronutrient breakdown. Once the calories were in place, I allocated a macro split. This is going to vary person to person, but I keep protein high just for hunger management as well as muscle retention. I kept fat at a baseline for optimal hormone function as well as just general health. But more importantly, fats are 9 calories per gram, whereas carbohydrates are 4 calories per gram. So I want to use as many calories as I possibly can to allocate towards carbohydrates to fuel performance. And let's be honest, carbs are the nicest macro. But as a rule of thumb, what I personally recommend everyone does is have around 40 to 60 grams of fat, about 0.8 to 1.2 grams of protein per pound of body weight, then fill the rest of your calories up with carbohydrates. 4. Meal timing was put in place. A lot of people say that meal timing doesn't matter, but if you truly want to drop a lot of body fat whilst building muscle, it certainly does. I had 50% of my total carbohydrates for the day in my pre and post-workout meals, as this is when energy is needed most, which would usually consist of something like simple and fast digesting carbohydrates in your pre-workout meal, like oats with fruit, and fast-acting carbohydrates post-workout with some protein, such as cereal and a protein shake. And I aimed for around 30 to 50 grams of protein per meal, as well as 5 to 10 grams of fat per meal. But the only meal that I had minimal fats in was post-workout, because at that stage, we don't want to be slowing the release of nutrients into the body. 5. Steps were established. I started off on 10,000, then gradually and incrementally increased them week by week. Similar to calories, you really want to start off as low as possible to give yourself wiggle room later down the line when the diet and the programming gets harder. I done 0 cardio to get this result because of my disability. However, if you were incorporating cardio into your programming, the same process would apply. You would start off doing as little cardio, as less intense as possible, then gradually scale up as the needle stop moving on the scales to continue to make it move. There's no magic number here to start off your step count or your cardio target. As I've just said, start off as low as possible, ideally just with steps, then incorporate cardio, then scale them both up as you move throughout the process. 6. Training protocol was put in place. The most overlooked aspect of a fat loss phase is training. Going to the gym is simply not enough. Every single set of every single exercise throughout the entire 100 days was taken to complete failure. This is what built and, more importantly, retained muscle throughout the process, especially when the calories got lower, the diet got harder as a natural person. An analogy that I like to use is that if someone had a gun to my head and they'd pull the trigger if I couldn't get one more rep, it would be goodbye, Zach. A key tip here would be to have a logbook or an app that I use with my clients where you can track every single data point within a workout, from how many reps you've done, how much weight you've lifted, how many sets you've done, so that you can monitor progress week by week. And then simply aim to beat it, whether that's an extra rep, whether that's more weight lifted, or even better technique, so that you continue to progress throughout the process. 7. I weighed in daily. Once training, output, and food was put in place, I needed an easy way to assess and measure progress, which is where the scales come in. Weight isn't everything, but it's for sure the easiest way to assess and monitor progress. progress. And weight can be affected by things like sleep, stress, sodium, water, what types of food you've consumed, but that's a more in-depth topic for a different video. I weighed in first thing daily, fasted, after trying to go to the toilet, before eating or drinking anything, in the same place, using the same scales, and ideally the same time of day to keep things as consistent as we possibly can. If scale weight stalled for too long, calories were pulled, or steps were upped, or a combination of both, depending on what phase I was at within the journey. 8, I was consistent. Out of every step in the video, the main reason I dropped all of my body fat and built my dream body was I stuck to the plan. Every single day for 100 days straight, consistently. Consistently average will always beat occasionally perfect. There were days I didn't tick things off in the correct order, days I felt terrible, and days I had a lot of personal things to deal with. But regardless of all of that, I still stuck to my daily to-do list, ticked it off so I could move the needle. Then just 100 days later, I ended up with a result like this. Just like Alex did in 16 weeks, Lee did in 18 weeks, and Lewis did in 16 weeks as well. They all followed the exact same fat loss system I'm talking about in this video that I've used on myself, on them, and hundreds of other men all around the world. And if you follow it, then you will get the same result as them too. Now, this is a lot to take in, so if you want all of the guesswork removed and you want help putting together your own specific roadmap tailored to you completely for free, simply click the link in the top of the description and me and my team will reach out, we'll have a chat, and we'll formulate a plan of attack that works for you. Full transparency, ideally we want you to come on board so we can actually hold you accountable to get you the result and follow through with the roadmap that we put in place and educate you along the way. But if not, it's no worries. Simply take what we provide you on the call and have a crack at it yourself. There is literally no commitment, no stress, no pressure. We simply just want to help as many men as we possibly can. And if you haven't already, don't forget to like, subscribe for more straight to the point educational videos.